Did you say anniversary?
What's that?
You said you were going to Williamsburg for anniversary?
Yeah, we've been going there. I think we missed 2 times in 54 years.
Is that how many you got? 54 years?
Yeah, 11 for this month. Next week.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah. How many you, Lee? How many you got?
I'm 48.
48. He's getting close to the big number.
Yeah, getting
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Oh, well, I hope I don't catch you.
I just passed 31, so.
30, but you got
We don't have Mr. Sneed yet, but Natalie is working on that. We do have a quorum, so it is 9 o'clock. When he's on, we'll welcome him in. Well, good morning. I am Mario Ganjimi, the chair of the MDTA Capital Committee, and conducting this morning's meeting, which I call to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and live stream on the MDTA Capital Committee page. As a reminder, all members of the Capital Committee will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. However, I do ask that to minimize background noise during this meeting, that everyone on the line mute your phones unless you are presenting or answering a question. We'll ask that you have your video on and your audio on when speaking, and that when you are done, to, with the exception of the committee, you turn your video off and put your audio back on mute. There are no members of the public or elected officials or media that have pre-registered, so we can move on to agenda item number 1, which is approval of the Capital Committee open session meeting minutes of September 7th, 2023. I will entertain a motion. So moved by member Cox.
Second.
Second by member Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, that was all of us. Fantastic. Now, Shushmita is going to present contract MDTA's 2021-01B, which is SBR Comprehensive Preliminary Engineering and Final Design Services. Shushmita, the ball's in your court.
Good morning, members.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Sushmita Mitra. I'm the Director of Engineering for MDTA's Office of Engineering and Construction, and I'm going to be presenting an SBR Comprehensive Preliminary Engineering and Final Design Services contract. It's the MDTA 2021-01B. So this contract involves design. It's a small business consulting engineering firm is selected through this procurement. The project involves the award of one contract, which will be an SBR, and it will provide comprehensive preliminary engineering and final design services for MDTA. The work in this contract shall include, but not be limited to, structural engineering, analysis, design, and rehabilitation of small and ancillary structures, noise walls, retaining walls, and buildings, highway design, traffic engineering and studies, environmental engineering, ITS electrical, geotechnical engineering, surveys, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering related to bridges and highway facilities. It will also provide services related to environmental permitting, right-of-way support, condition inspection, project delivery, cost estimating, to name a few. So this contract was awarded on June of 2022. It was advertised with an overall MB goal of 15% and 1% VSBE goal. So during the procurement phase, we received 10 proposals for this contract, and the contract was awarded. The contract was advertised, for 5 years and for $3 million. So from the 10 proposers, we conducted evaluation, including we had a selection panel, and we rated the technical proposals and their oral presentations, and we selected one firm which came at the top of the selection for award. So the selected firm is Suyash Consulting LLC, and the contract number that has been given to this contract is AE 3114, and the contract amount is $3 million. The selected firm has proposed a total MBE goal of 16.5%, with 2% of African American, and 9.5% of Asian American, and 5% of women-owned businesses. It has also met the requirement for the 1% VSBE. With that, I am recommending this contract for award to the Capital Committee.
Any questions from the,
I was wondering, I've never heard of this company, Suyash Holding. Are they a new firm?
They are a new firm, but they are a new firm. Sorry, I think it's
I'm getting
Like,
into,
a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
They are,
Members, if you would, I'm sorry, Shushmita. Members, if you want to mute while she's speaking, the feedback should go away.
all right.
yes, this is a new firm to Prime as an SBR. This is only the second time we have awarded a comprehensive contract as an SBR. So this is a new firm, an SBR firm, which is priming as an SBR, but this firm has done work as a sub under a variety of MDTA and SHA contracts over the years.
so Shushmita, does that mean we're able to check on references? Is that part of what we do in our technical review?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Okay, and you obviously got favorable response, so, okay. Is there a motion to approve this contract?
So moved.
Moved by member Gaines, second by member Cox. I do want to note Mr. Sneed is on here. It's not on my screen yet, but I understand he's here, so. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, so we got all of us. I'll make that. All right, great. Thank you very much.
thank you,
Shushmita.
members.
Now we will move on to Simon, and this is a revisit to what we talked about at our last meeting, MR 3033, the on-call structural repairs and miscellaneous modifications. Simon, you are on.
Thank you. 1 second, I'm having some difficulty with the camera. Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Simon Sagari. I'm project engineer with OEC and contract manager for MR 3033. This, as noted before, this was presented in the last Capital Committee meeting. So just as a recap, the purpose of this contract is to have multiple contractors on the standby to perform miscellaneous structural steel, concrete, and other types of repairs on MDTA structures. The engineer estimate for this contract was $29,963,875. In total, 3 bids were received for this contract. The lowest bid was submitted by Bronner in the amount of $14.4 million, followed by Marksman for $20.3 million, and Concrete General for $21.9 million. There was no bid protest or rejection regarding this contract. The overall MB goal for this contract is 10% with no sub goal. The VSP goal is 1%. Currently, the contract MB plans are pending with fair practice for approval. As noted before, this contract was presented at last Capital Committee meeting, and it was recommended by committee members to evaluate contract amount distribution between the 3 recommended contractors. As such, we revised award amounts to reflect contractors' bid amount. We are recommending award of this contract as follows. Bronner Builders, $12.5 million, Marksman, $9.0 million, and Concrete General, $8.5 million. NTP is anticipated in December 2023, and the contract duration is 1,460 calendar days. We are seeking recommended approval from the Capital Committee to present this contract to the full MDTA board in anticipation for approval, the contract award. With this, I concluded my presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Simon. Members of the committee, any follow-up? I think they successfully heard us from last meeting and addressed our questions and concerns. So I leave it to you. Leave it to you guys.
Oh, very good. I'm satisfied.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, it's a motion to accept.
All right. So there's a motion by Member Gaines. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Second, that was Mr. Sneed. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I think Member Cox disappeared on us. I see him, but
Aye.
oh, there we go. Fantastic. All right, that's all of it. So great. We can move on to Brian. He's going to talk to us about contract KB 3005, which is the I-695 repairs and subgrade rehabilitation on Sparrows Point. Mr. Sneed, that was that big project I was warning you about.
Yes. And
So,
in the meantime, is there any or do we have sufficient amount of time before the repairs need to be made? That's one question I had.
Member Gaines, you're muted.
Yep, sorry. Trying to deal with the feedback and the construction ground in the background I got going. When Brian presents, we'll bring that question up. Brian, you're on.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, members. For the record, my name is Brian Wolf. I'm Director of Project Development in the Office of Engineering and Construction. I'm here to present contract KB 3005-0000. This is repairs and subgrade rehabilitation on I-695 in the Sparrows Point area. The work to be performed in this contract will include rehabilitation of subgrade to address settlement concerns on the roadway, as well as some miscellaneous structural repairs to the bridges within that segment of 695. The scope of work, as I said, will include the repairs of several bridges east of Maryland 157. It'll be back wall repairs, approach roadway work at the Bear Creek, Maryland 157, and also the Trade Point Atlantic Railroad Bridge. This contract was procured using the low bid approach with an invitation for bids. We do have allowance items on this contract, the sort of the standard public relations and partnering, as well as our typical miscellaneous construction allowance. But I will highlight we have a couple of extra ones here. We have a railroad allowance item that is again due to the Trade Point Atlantic Railroad. We are doing some bridge work there. But we also have an allowance item for the handling and disposal of hazardous materials. And this is related to the fact that we'll be doing some excavation in the embankment area of 695. And we are aware, that was fill from the days of the steel plant. So just added that item in as a precaution. The engineer's estimate for this contract was $38,016,305.25. We advertised on June 6th, and we received bids on August 24th. We received 4 bids for this contract. The low bid was submitted by the 6M company in the amount of $33.2 million. And we are recommending 6M company for award of this contract. The bid price was about 13% below the engineer's estimate. There was no justification required. The MBE goals for the project were 22% with 8% African American and 11% women owned. Sub goals with a 1% VSBE, and 6M submitted an MBE plan that is 22.01% with the 1% VSBE. And those plans are pending approval right now with Civil Rights and Fair Practices. 6M has an extensive history working for the authority, most recently on our KH 3012 and KH 3022 contracts, and currently up on a noise wall and under the KH 3031 contract. We do anticipate NTP in November of this year, and we're looking at a completion date in March of 2025. So we are seeking recommended approval from the Capital Committee to present the contract to the full MDTA board for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Can Mr. Sneed go ahead and ask your question? Get us rolling.
Well, I think he answered it. If NTP's in November, then that addressed in the near term.
Right. So with that, Brian, can you talk a little bit about the traffic impacts? Because I think that's really what Mr. Sneed is getting at, is when do we expect the traffic impacts, and to what extent might those traffic impacts look like?
So with the NTP, hopefully in November, there is some upfront work that needs to be done. So the traffic impacts won't start immediately. I believe we're looking probably 2 to 3 months in till we would have an impact to traffic. We are looking at a contraflow condition when we get into the bridge work and especially the subgrade work, where we need to move traffic over into one loop in each direction, and we take a loop out of, like, inner loop out of service. Then when we're done there, we'll flip the traffic over to the inner loop side and do the outer loop work. So those are the impacts we're looking at in terms of with the contraflow and having crossovers at each end of the project limits. We anticipated, because of Trade Point Atlantic being there, the truck traffic coming out of those facilities. We have been in conversations with Trade Point Atlantic. We've been keeping them apprised of the project that was coming. We've also been keeping in touch with State Highway Administration to let them know, since some of the traffic, the detour that we have in place for the contraflow condition will be on one of their facilities. So we've been coordinating with them on the project as well.
Fantastic.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Brian, is the project all MDTA, obviously with this bid, but is it on any of the property that's owned by Trade Point?
No. The only location where we're really going to be coordinating heavily would be their railroad facility. They own the line that comes into Trade Point. And we need to coordinate with them because we are doing bridge work over top of that railroad. But we've been in touch with their railroad coordinator, their railroad manager, and keeping him apprised. And we're working with them in terms of like flaggers and things like that. But that's the only location right now where I'm anticipating that we would be directly over one of their locations.
Is that CSX or North Summit that comes in at that point?
It's actually Trade Point. They actually own that rail line in that vicinity.
So they go out of that to connect with either CSX or Norfolk Southern.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Any other questions or a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved by Member Gaines, or a second? All right, second by Mr. Sneed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that is all of us. Well, Brian, you're not off the hook yet. You're going to talk to us about KH 3040, which is Maryland 24 northbound Auxiliary Lane, Maryland 924 through Singer Road intersection.
Okay. Okay, again, this is the KH 3040 dash 0000. This is an auxiliary lane construction on Maryland 24, extending from the 924 intersection up to just north of Singer Road. We'll be constructing a third lane on the northbound side of 24. And we will also be constructing 3 noise wall systems as part of the project. And we're doing this project to address traffic congestion along 24 and to mitigate traffic spilling back into the new 24 reconstructed interchange once it's open to traffic in 2027. So again, this project was procured using low bid with an invitation for bids. We have our typical allowance items for partnering and miscellaneous construction allowance. The engineer's estimate for this project was $16,939,091.50. We advertised on June 12th. We received bids on June 29th. We did receive 9 bids for the project. And the low bid was submitted by Alan Myers in the amount of $17.2 million. We are recommending award of this contract to Alan Myers. The bid price was roughly 2% above the engineer's estimate. There were no bid protests and no justification required. The MBE goals are 24%. With an 8% African American and 11% women-owned sub-goal and a 2% VSBE. Alan Myers did submit a plan with 24.11% and 2% VSBE. Alan Myers has had extensive work with the authority recently on contracts within the ETL program, KH 3013, KH 3023, and the KH 3029. We are anticipating NTP in December of this year and a completion date in June of 2025. We are seeking recommended approval from the Capital Committee to take the contract to the full MDTA board.
Mr. Chairman, got a question.
Go ahead.
It's rhetorical for me, but is Alan Myers still up to snuff on their work?
Yes. On the contracts that they currently have, they've been performing adequately on the contracts.
Any further questions or a motion?
So moved.
All right, so is there a second?
Second.
All right, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that was all of us. All right, Brian, thank you very much. Now,
Thank you.
Now Julie's going to talk to us about the pretty flowers we have next to our highways. Julie, you are on.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Julie McCarthy. I'm the Natural Resources Lead for OEC. So if you want to open up to the PowerPoint presentation, I'll be referring to the photos in there. If you jump down to slide 2, I'll run through the agenda. We're going to do an introduction. I'm going to discuss the importance, past meadow plantings, current plantings, and the future for the meadows for mitigation. So if you jump to slide 3, today I'm going to focus on the environmental aspect of one of MDTA's core values in stewardship. You jump down to slide 4, one of my favorite quotes of "No bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man" by Albert Einstein. So 90% of the world's wildflower plants are dependent on pollinators. 75% of the leading global crops are also dependent on pollinators. So that comes out to about 1 in 3 mouthfuls of food only exist because of pollinators. But pollinators aren't just insects. They're also birds and bats. So today we're going to focus on the meadow habitat and enhancing habitat mainly for insects, but also for bird and bat populations. One of the big ticket items right now are monarch butterflies. They are looking at the federal uplisting to an endangered species in 2024, and the American bumblebee is likely to follow closely thereafter. Monarch butterflies, only milkweed will host the monarch caterpillars, and there are over 100 different species. So you may have noticed in the last several years an overall decline in the number of monarch butterflies that you've been seeing. Two of the big factors in this is habitat loss and the overuse of pesticides. Moving to slide 5, in past meadow plantings, along 95, you may still see some of the remnants of it, but on the median plantings, several years ago, there was pollinator wildflower plantings along 95 at the Maryland 22 interchange. Unfortunately, they were not able to be maintained. Many of our stream restoration sites that we have for mitigation, though they're not usually visible to the public, we had pollinator plant species in the meadow mixes used. So pollinator habitat and its benefits were not always the top priority for past projects. And if you look at these photos along I-95, these are Maximilian sunflowers, and they are within the bioswales, and they are intentional plantings, and the seed mixes includes various pollinator species. Moving down to slide 6, for our current plantings, our present day projects have pollinator species mixed in all of our meadow mixes. So one of our projects, HT 3012 in Lansdale, is right off of I-895. They have wildflower and pollinator species mixed right in there with our meadow mixes. You can see all those gorgeous yellow flowers. They are doing really well, and they're really providing a lot of ecological uplift, thus adding to the success of the overall plant species in this restoration. So if you look at the second photo, I'm sure you're wondering what these areas, if we continue to plant in the median, would look like in the winter. And I would like to tell you that implementing these meadows in the median does not completely eliminate the need for mowing. Mowing would just be reduced to 1 to 2 times a year. The JFK planting is an example of what it would look like in the winter. You can see that it's not really unruly, unkept, and it's still aesthetically pleasing throughout the year. This also will still provide habitat for pollinator species in the winter. So many bees hibernate in the ground, and leaving these leaves and grasses will help prevent the frost from penetrating down. Moving down to slide 5, the future meadows for mitigation. So experts estimate that roughly 40 to 70% of pollinator species could go extinct in the next 50 years if nothing is done to help enhance their habitat. There are places throughout the country that has already begun establishing the pollinator habitat along with roadsides. You can see in these photos the Texas highways and the Atlantic City Expressway in New Jersey. I have personally been able to see both of these, and they are absolutely gorgeous when they're in full bloom. So since the monarch butterfly is likely to become an endangered species in 2024. This means that new regulations and new preservation of habitat is going to be coming from these agencies. There's already talk of new regulations, but we're not quite sure how they will impact our operations or current projects. I know personally there's been a steep decrease in the number of monarch butterflies that I've seen in Maryland, but really establishing these pollinator habitats would be really great for connecting a lot of corridors for these species. So in summary, on slide 8, MDTA, we really have the opportunity to create a legacy and revolutionize the way we maintain roadside habitat. We have the ability in the space to create a dynamic and connecting habitat for pollinator species using these medians. Pollinator habitat not only provides ecological uplift for the natural world, but it can also show people who travel through this important corridor of DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, over on the Eastern Shore in Ocean City, that we really care about our environment, and it can also still be aesthetically pleasing as well. So that wraps up my presentation. On slide 9 is my email if anybody would like to contact me. And thank you for your time.
Julie, thank you very much. I specifically asked for this because I noticed how awesome a job we were doing. And actually I was driving down, our highway with one of my friends, and they made the comment about, wow, this really looks awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I want to learn more about that. So thank you for presenting that. I think we should be tooting our horn to the public. I don't know if we are. However, I think if we aren't, we should be, and we should be doing it loudly, because I think this is a really good story. People always hear they hear about our construction, and they hear about the traffic, but this is a good story. Mr. Gaines.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that, the plantings we've done up there look great, and it's a good tale to tell. I want to just a little bit of caution to, when you hear about the federal government getting involved and maybe turning monarch butterfly into an endangered species. The Endangered Species Act has been used to stop projects all over the country, and if it doesn't stop them, it adds to the cost, delays their. It sometimes makes them impractical. So I would hate to see that happen. One more. I'm all for increasing the monarch butterfly, but don't stop all the highways for that.
Well, I guess I guess the good news is MDTA's, as she said on one of her slides, we're trying to be leaders. So hopefully we can keep that from happening by doing the good stuff that we're doing.
Right.
Anybody else?
Thanks very much. Being in Hartford County and traveling up and down 95 all the time, I really appreciate this and appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
All right, so you got a bunch of fans, Julie. Thank you for all the hard work and all the good work.
Great, I love it. Thank you guys.
Thank you. We've got Jennifer next, going to give us the update on the CTP process and additions.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
I am Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the Consolidated Transportation Program, CTP process and additions. This information will also be presented to the Finance Committee on October 12th and to the full board on October 26th. Each year, the Maryland Transportation Authority, MDTA, releases the CTP, which presents MDTA's ongoing and new capital projects for a 6-year rolling period. The draft CTP is presented to the board in June of each year for approval, and following that is presented to local elected officials and citizens throughout Maryland in the fall for review and comment. It is then revised and presented as the final CTP and presented to the board in November for approval to be part of the governor's budget to the Maryland General Assembly in January. Projects in the CTP are separated into 3 programs: construction program, development and evaluation, the D&E program, and system preservation. The construction program and system preservation include ongoing projects and those scheduled to begin within the 6-year CTP. The D&E program is those major projects being prepared for possible future addition to the construction program. Currently, the only D&E project in the MDTA CTP is the Tier 2 NEPA Bay Crossing Study. MDTA's capital projects originate from a variety of sources: long-range capital needs, inspection findings, regulatory compliance, increased capacity needs, and local priority letters and legislative requests. The long-range capital needs includes projects based on life cycle. The stakeholders annually review the useful life of facility components and estimate costs and timelines to rehabilitate or replace the components. The expected useful life of a component does not provide an exact rehabilitation or replacement date, but gives an idea of when MDTA should begin planning and budgeting to address it. Inspection findings are used in tandem with life cycle estimates to confirm rehabilitation or replacement is necessary as scheduled, or to expedite a project when it is needed ahead of schedule. Inspections can reveal an opportunity for smaller scale repairs that can prevent a facility or component from degrading to the point of needing a replacement via a larger, more expensive design bid build project. These small scope repairs can be diverted to on-call contracts, which are a critical part of the program approach to system preservation. The remaining sources, regulatory compliance, capacity needs, and local priorities, make up a smaller portion of the CTP. Regulatory compliance includes projects for EPA mandated stormwater management. Increased capacity needs are based on traffic forecast recommendations. Local priorities are established each year as counties are asked to submit a list of priorities for state transportation system. Generally, priority letters include the concurrent signatures of legislative delegation representing that county. For the fiscal year 2024-2029 final CTP will reflect the addition of 8 projects totaling $9.35 million as seen in attachment A. The final CTP will also include the addition of $360 million in the allocated reserve in the 6-year CTP. The additional funding is needed to offset a double-digit rise in construction costs and increased needs related to aging infrastructure. It is anticipated that additional funding will be needed beyond the 6-year CTP to support projects that must be funded to maintain our assets before conditions deteriorate to a point where they will require more extensive and expensive rehabilitation projects. These projects address needs before they present a risk to the asset performance, and they maintain our system in a good state of repair. The needs include full bridge replacements, bridge deck replacements and deck resurfacing, roadway resurfacings, bridge system preservation measures such as scour remediation and steel beam superstructure rehabilitation retrofits, other critical facility infrastructure renovations and rehabilitation such as roof replacements and tunnel switchgear replacement, safety needs directly affecting traveling public such as tunnel fire protection and on-call contracts to address critical needs on structures, roadway, electrical ITS features, drainage, and environmental features, and toll system replacement, which includes lane, customer service center, and back office needs. Funding availability to budget for identified projects is based on MDTA's 6-year financial forecast, which considers estimates of traffic and revenue prepared annually, the operating budget and capital budget, debt service payments, the potential need for future bond sales and toll increases, and compliance with financial standards such as the trust agreement covenant, debt service coverage, and unrestricted cash balance. Attachment A is a list of new projects that will be added to the fiscal year 2024-2029 MDTA capital program. Replacement of the Bay Bridge North Ferry Slip, on-call facility building and repairs, on-call signs, sign lights, and sign structures, ICC and JFK Data Center hardware replacement, replace the Eastern Avenue Bridge over 895, BHT facility-wide signing upgrades, rehabilitation of bearing and miscellaneous repairs on I-695 bridges over Bear Creek, and shoreline restoration at the FSK Police Headquarters. That concludes this presentation. If there are any questions.
Any questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, do we have comments from?
Can you repeat that? You broke up on my end.
Sorry. Mr. Chairman, do we typically see the comments summary from local officials on our particular CTP projects? Or are there none?
Jennifer, can you address that? I'm going to say I've never seen anything before. I think that we see the result of all those conversations in what is presented to us with our CTP additions.
I've never
Correct.
seen any either. Member Sneed, I've never seen any as long as I've been on. Maybe Member Gaines, but I don't think we've seen them since we've been on the committee.
Yeah, and they're still ongoing at this time, meeting with the legislators in the different counties.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? Well, hearing none, Jennifer, thank you. We will move on to Mr. Sabelano, who's going to give us an update on our inspection program.
All right, the distinguished members of the committee, senior leaders, senior managers, co-workers, and all others in attendance, good morning. So again, my name is Ruel Sabillano. I'm the Structures Engineering Manager at the Office of Engineering and Construction. And today I'll be providing you updates for the 2023 Structures Inspection Program or MDTA. All right, since you already received the slides in the mail out, I will just mention the slide number as I go through the presentation. Slide 2 will show the overview of this presentation. It's divided into two major parts. First half will be the overview of the MDTA Structures Inspection Program. That includes the purpose, inventory, annual inspections, 2023 inspections, and the other half would be for the 2023 updates from the annual inspections findings. Third slide, purpose and goal of the program. So the main purpose of the inspection program is to make sure that our MDTA bridges and tunnels and all other structures are maintained in good repair, working order, and condition. Also make sure that we perform this to keep our facilities safe, that keep traffic moving, and instill public confidence by identifying deficiencies earlier or in a timely manner, providing accurate reports with comprehensive data, coordinating repair activities in a timely manner, either with our operations forces, with our on-call contracts, or any other means, our capital programs. And also our goal is to make sure we meet the requirements according to FHWA through the National Bridge Inspection Standards and National Tunnel Inspection Standards. We also would like to meet our MDTA Trust Agreement requirements and MDTA OEC requirements as outlined in our latest inspection manual. Slide number 4 talks about the major programs. We have the annual inspections program, which includes the routine, special, and emergency inspections, structural inspection data management, repair prioritization, and coordination. Next part of our program is the ACER program, also known as the Authority Structures Inspection and Repair Program. This is our custom-built software that we use to store all our information from all the findings, all the inspection data. We store it in this program, and this is our basis for our programming for either short-term task order level projects, or it could be for our large capital projects. Next part of the program is the load rating and hauling permit program. We perform analysis to determine load capacity of bridges and issue permits. And we coordinate with the State Highway Administration Office of Structures, the Motor Carrier Division, Baltimore City, and haulers. As part of this program as well, we have the contract management and team development program. We have 5 inspection contracts right now, totaling 60 million over 4 years. We'll have 1 SBR inspection contract for a total of 5 million over 4 years. And we have trainings, guideline developments, just to ensure that we comply with all the requirements I mentioned earlier. Next slide, slide number 5, talks about our inventory. structures types by numbers. So we have a total of 1,718 structures. I'll just note or highlight the bridges. We have 326, tunnels 2, and the rest are small bridges or ancillary structures. The next slide, slide number 6, we can see the structure type. I mentioned earlier, number of bridges is 326, tunnels 2, but the area in square footage, 15,490 for bridges and 1,087 for the tunnels. To the right, you will see a table there that shows the signature structures breakdown in terms of length and area in square footage. And I'll just note that the Bay Bridge is the longest one we have, 8 miles and 1,527 square foot. Next slide, slide number 7. Inspection teams. According to our MDTA trust agreement requirements, MDTA employs engineering firms within the transportation industry to perform the inspections, whether it's yearly or our risk-based or our biannual inspections. The in-house team is currently led by Lillian Sidrak, our structures inspection program manager, who is actually in attendance today. Will be assisting as well if there's any program-specific questions. Structures engineers, we have 1 MDTA employee and 2 part-time consultants. As for our consultant teams, there are 6 joint ventures of prime consultants, including 30 sub-consultants, and there are over 150 inspection team leaders, 60 QC engineers, and 21 project managers. Next slide, slide number 8. Talks about the inspection types. First, hands-on inspection, HOI. This is for the entire structure. And according to NBIS requirement, we should do this every 2 years for bridges and tunnels and 4 years for our ancillary structures. The RBI, which is off year of the HOI, selected portions of the structures only. And we have visual inspections for roadway and traffic safety features. The underwater inspections, which are completed every 4 years, and emergency inspections, which is as needed basis depending on when there's an incident that happened. There's also an audit inspection that is a really good way for our inspection program manager to make sure that all the rest of our teams are consistently doing the or following the procedures that we laid out for them. And there are special inspections based on request or based on specific needs for either designs or monitoring or testing. Next slide, slide number 9, talks about what we have completed in 2023 cycle. So we had hands-on inspections for signature bridges and tunnels, including the initial inspection of the Nice Middleton Bridge. Also the HOI for underground stormwater structures and retaining walls and noise walls. We have done the risk-based interim inspections, RBIs for workhorse bridges, small bridges, high mast lights, toll plazas and weigh scales, low-level lights and camera poles. And then we also did underwater inspections for the Nice Bridge, the Bay Bridges, the Bear Creek and Curtis Creek, hydrographic survey for the Bay Bridges and the Nice Bridge, Nice Middleton Bridge, and visual inspections for roadway and traffic safety features. Now, all the information that we get every year, we store that again in ACER, as I mentioned earlier. And we provide this information to various entities and agencies. So the annual bridge and tunnel inspection data will be provided to the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, through the State Highway Administration. Executive summaries are also provided annually to the trustee. Structures asset data to MDOT Asset Management Work Group. Transportation Asset Management Plan to FHWA through SHA. Annual MFR, attainment report, insurance renewal costs, and all other information to multiple MDTA divisions. bridge load rating data and bridge vertical clearance data are provided to the State Highway Motor Carrier Division, and it's included in there in the Maryland 1 hauling permit program.
Ruel, real quick,
Yes.
Mr. Just in order to give you a break for one, Mr. Gaines had a question, so we'll let him ask that question so you can catch your breath.
Sure. Yeah, Mr. Gates. I think you're muted, Mr. Gates, sir.
All right, got it. As they were completing construction on Nice Bridge, I'm sure there's constant inspection going on there weekly, daily. So why did we have to come in here and inspect it? That's just as we open it, or seems like a waste of money.
Oh, so let me rephrase your question, make sure I understand it correctly, Mr. Gaines. So you're asking why we're inspecting it?
Yeah, we're just
several
completing
times.
it. It's a brand new bridge. Why does
Yeah.
it need to be inspected by our consultants?
Yeah, so I can, okay, I see a raised hand here. Okay, I see, okay, that's you, Mr. Gaines. So yeah, that's you. Right, so there's after the opening of the bridge, Mr. Gaines, and I will let Lillian also, provide any additional information if I missed anything. So after the opening, we need to have an initial inspection as basis of our database. So it's our baseline information. So right after bridge is being inspected, it should be noted, and it's a requirement by the FHWA. So I will let Lillian go deeper if there's any other details, Lillian.
This is Deb Sharpless. I can also add on. We're required to conduct these inspections per our trust agreement as well annually. And we have to have a report from independent engineers that we submit to our trustee each year.
So they basically don't trust the inspection we have that we're paying for with either the federal government or whoever we hired to inspect the bridge. It's like this, double checking them, basically, what you're saying.
Jim, maybe.
Sorry, Jim Harkness, Chief Engineer. Yeah, I guess
Hey,
just wanted to weigh in. The team of inspectors that we have working on the construction portion of the bridge perform a different function than our inspection of the bridge, right? The inspection for purposes of condition versus, the construction materials and methods and adherence to specifications is, it's just two different functions. And as Ruel said, we're required by Federal Highway to sort of perform this baseline inspection in order to bring it into our asset inventory. And then so that way, as we move forward with our semi-annual inspections on the bridge, we have a baseline against which we can compare. And that helps us, of course, internally as well as we try to advance asset management. It gives us a good, starting point to understand how some of the different components of this bridge start to establish deterioration cycles, and we can start to develop our models and refine our models that would apply to this bridge, but also potentially to other bridges as well, so we can get a good understanding. So I too understand it's a brand new bridge. What are we doing? What are we really looking at? We went through the same thing with all our bridges. So Canton Viaduct, the 95 bridge project, we had to do the exact same thing, brand new bridge. Hey, let's get out there and inspect it before we open to traffic, to minimize impacts and things like that. So the inspection team does end up having to perform some of these things that are a little bit of a head scratch, but ultimately it does end up, assisting us down the line.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jim. That was a good response. Appreciate it. Ruel, you're back on. Now that you got your breath, you can go finish up.
All right, Jim, thank you for clarifying that even farther. So let me proceed to slide number 11. provide trainings and presentations. So during this 2023 cycle, we also completed the biennial inspection team leaders in-person and virtual meetings. We provided audit results of inspection findings, provided new inspection guidelines, and we also utilized some new technologies to enhance the program, such as AIs, ground penetrating radar, infrared delamination detection, and robotic non-destructive testing. So every time there's some new technology there, we will do a pilot of that, make sure we are not behind the game, and we should make sure we make use of this technology to advance our program. Next part, the second half would be for the inspection findings. So let me start with the Bay Bridge. So there are some noted defects there on slide 12, patches, spalls, eliminations on eastbound and westbound bridge decks, peeling paint with localized surface corrosion at superstructure elements, minor to moderate concrete deterioration at bridge substructure elements. Now, it was noted that there were numerous defects that were undergoing repairs at the time of the inspection. Overall, the rating of the Bay bridges is in satisfactory condition. Next one is the Nice Bridge. This is brand new, so it was opened in October 2022. And after the initial inspections, there were no notable defects found, and it's in very good condition. Slide number 13, tidings. Minor concrete deterioration at bridge deck, minor corrosion on steel bridge superstructure. We just finished the wind shear device contract rehabilitation along with miscellaneous structural repairs. So overall, tidings is in satisfactory condition. Hayden Bridge, minor surface cracking on bridge deck, minor to moderate corrosion on steel superstructure elements, isolated areas of minor to moderate cracks and spalls in concrete substructure. Overall, it's in satisfactory condition. Key Bridge, on page or slide number 14, some of these defects were noted. In general, minor concrete cracks and elimination at bridge deck, localized section loss due to corrosion at steel superstructure elements, minor concrete deterioration at bridge substructure. But overall, it's in satisfactory condition. The K-Truss Bridge overall is also in satisfactory condition with the following noted defects: minor spalls and cracking on the bridge deck, isolated corrosion areas at superstructure elements, minor to moderate concrete deterioration at bridge substructure. Next slide is slide number 15, Baltimore Harbor Tunnel. Some of these defects were noted: minor surface cracks at roadway wearing surface, missing or impacted ceiling tiles, minor concrete deterioration at the underside of the roadway and tunnel walls. Building electrical system is in fair condition, and there's a contract HT 3016 underway that will handle the replacement of light fixtures and transformers replacement.
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt? Can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
Yes, sir.
All right. You know, it's always, you know, since I've been on the authority, the question as much has been completed and not completed as far as ceiling tiles, and I'm sure that's always a problem because of either trucks and whatever hitting the tiles. But where are we as far as replacement tiles? Every time I go through there, I know the cleaning and so forth, but you know, where are we as far as tiles?
So there are two projects ongoing right now, the short term, the long term. Currently, we are addressing all these missing tiles. Every time there's an incident, these are insurance recoverable task orders. So we address them and we replace them in kind. However, also we're making sure we're looking into other alternatives. So we have studies right now being done by one of our project managers to look into various options to just minimize the bridge hits. Right now, we're looking at our limited clearance there in the within the tunnel. We're trying to look into various alternatives, and that will be part of the long-term plan or long-term project. So we have a study that includes that. But as far as replacement of the tunnel, that's ongoing, and it's being done under our on-call or task orders.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir. All right, and then select pumps replaced for BHT. Now for the FMT tunnel, for the Fort McHenry tunnel, overall in satisfactory condition, same as the BHT. Tunnel roadway surfaces exhibit minor isolated areas of cracking, missing tunnel wall tiles at isolated locations. Fans operational and currently under rehabilitation. And it is noted here that structural, mechanical, and electrical repairs were being performed during the time of the inspection at both tunnels. Next page, 16, sign structures and new gantries. So overall, very good. We have new structures in GFK in Cecil County to the Delaware line area, and they were inspected. We have new toll gantries in FMT, Hayden, Keybridge, and the Bay Bridges facilities, and they were also inspected. Some typical defects found include loose hardware. Low level lights, LLLs, and camera poles, overall in good condition. Inspections of the LLL were performed during the newly launched mobile application in GIS, and new LED lighting was implemented on the GFK rest areas and FSK facilities. Typical defects include loose hardware, broken breakaway boxes, and some poles required removal. We make sure in a timely manner, we coordinated with our operations maintenance forces, or some of them are also done under our on-call if our maintenance forces cannot handle it. Next page or slide 17 for workhorse bridges. Overall, very good to satisfactory condition. New bridges, there were new bridges that were initially inspected, as mentioned earlier, and also asked earlier why we're inspecting. So we will have these initial inspections for our brand new bridges. So initial inspections were done for Abingdon Road, Clayton Road, and Raphael Road bridges in the JFK facility. Typical defects on all facility bridges include minor spalls, cracks, and steel corrosion. And then for the HMLs or high mast lights, overall in good condition. Majority of the FMT HMLs have been replaced. Typical defects include some loose hardware and non-functional luminaires. The toll plaza scales overall are in satisfactory condition. AET implemented at the FSK, Bay Bridge, FMT, and Perryville, and Hayden facilities. The toll plaza at BHT and scales at the Bay Bridge and Hayden. And these are some of the noted defects, some loose hardware, minor spalls, and some steel corrosion. But again, overall in satisfactory condition. Next slide shows a sketch or a drawing of a typical bridge. And bridge inspection reports determine condition ratings data for the three major structural components of the bridge, namely the deck, the superstructure, and the substructure. And to the right, you will see a drawing there that shows the deck, which is the top. That's where the traffic would pass through. And the deck is supported by the girders or the beams. These are called superstructures. And then the superstructures are then supported by the substructure or the piers, the pier caps, the foundation. So the ratings determine if the component is in excellent, very good, satisfactory, fair, or poor condition. There are other ratings below poor. However, we don't use that. In the US, most of the ratings stopped at 4 because either the bridge is replaced wholly or partially or being rehabilitated. Major rehab will undergo at poor condition. And these ratings are used in our asset management program. I think Jennifer in the presentation earlier, she explained the importance of this inspection information to be used in the capital programming. So our asset management program and identification projects are relying on these inspection data. The next slide shows the graph of our deck super sub condition distribution. And you will see here that we don't have force for our bridges. We do have some fives to take care of, but most of our structures are in good or satisfactory. Now we have started to build our very good and excellent bridges with the new bridges that we have just replaced. And that's the end of my presentation. If there are any other questions.
Any questions from the committee?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think you're muted, Mr. Bill.
You waiting for me? I had a question. How, I mean, most of our bridges are, I guess they got a satisfactory rating, which I don't know if that's good or not. How does it compare to where we were the last inspection? Are they deteriorating a little bit based on our, the fact that our revenue is sort of capped? And in some of these repairs, but they're pushing back a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, with the various programs that we have done, the system-wide preservation program. We have also replaced a lot of some bridges. We have the Canton Viaduct, the Nice Bridge. So a lot of our force, or I say no force, was Canton Viaduct was no longer seen here. So some of the fives has improved. Some of the sixes has improved based on what we have done on the on our bridge preservation program. So White Mars office has been putting out contracts for our system preservation, and the goal for that is to keep our bridges at 6 or even better. And I believe we have accomplished that. And for those bridges that we cannot, we feel that we cannot preserve any longer, either because of their age. The bridges have their what we call a service life, and these bridges in the 70s, in the 60s were built in the old standards that has a 50-year service life. We are already in the process of thinking. We're planning right now of systematically looking into a bridge replacement program, which will eventually, be implemented, since we feel that those bridges are already at the end of their lives.
Well, I was talking about the major bridges, such as the Key Bridge, satisfactory, Hayden Bridge, satisfactory, Tidings Bridge, satisfactory. If I brought home a satisfactory report card to my parents, they wouldn't be happy. They're all satisfactory, so I just wondering if is there something hidden under there that we fading towards unsatisfactory? Because these are expensive items, I realize.
Yeah.
Jim, you want to handle that?
Yeah. Thank you. I think, Member Gaines, you touched upon a good point, and the overall bridge asset management program is aimed at obviously maintaining our key pieces of infrastructure in a good state of repair, and then what defines the good state of repair will vary between agencies, but then also in our agency, what our goals are for a workhorse bridge, for ancillary structures, or for our signature structures will vary. And so while you see a satisfactory condition, we weigh, what are the appropriate projects in order to maintain those, very large, expensive assets in a good state of repair. And when we start to look at things, we have to weigh what is the cost of getting from satisfactory to fair. and
Exactly.
what type of projects does that take? And for these very large, significant structures, that is often a very significant amount of money. And then that's why we perform these life cycle cost analysis on our signature structures, so that we can understand that long range look, what we see coming down the line, how we think the condition, is going to be, what we're going to project the condition to be if we do certain activities, if we don't do certain activities, when does it make sense from a financial standpoint to possibly replace these very big structures. So the concept is easier on workhorse bridges. We're talking about, less overall investment for that, whereas these very large, expensive signature structures, we have to consider those slightly different.
Who makes it? I mean, you always have a committee or something who works on this thing, right? Makes the decision what to do, when to do it.
Yeah, I think we take the feedback from our inspections program. We start to work through that. We have we have asset management plans that we're working on getting in place, and again, fed by some life cycle cost analysis. So we get together, the structures team, we look at, across our entire asset portfolio, what do we have going on? What are the conditions? What are we projected things that we're seeing? Where are the trouble spots on our structures, so that we can put this whole program together, again, across the board based on budget, where we can make the right project at the right time.
Jim, this is Mario. Maybe we ought to consider having that as a future capital committee discussion topic, kind of how you take those inspection findings through and the evaluations, but specifically on the signature structures, I think would be a good idea. The analysis, cost analysis, all that good stuff, I think would be helpful.
Yeah, we can certainly present that. We have it. A program ready for that.
Okay, I'm not suggesting it'd be the very next meeting, but something when you're ready, I think that would be a good topic.
Excellent.
And any further questions for Ruel?
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
The that are substructures that are in fair conditions, do you have those listed? Because I didn't see them earlier in the report. Are they in a larger spreadsheet or?
Substructures that are in fair condition.
I guess it's on now. I have a question, and I know it's a little premature, but I'm getting a lot of questions about, obviously here in Harford County, about the horrific accident happened the other day with the truck bed being ripped off there at the bridge at 24. Is there any update? Structural damage? I mean, I'm sure it's early on, but how much damage do you know offhand was really happened there?
Let's hold that for 1 second. Let him. I'm going to let Ruel finish with Mr. Sneed's question about the areas where we had some fair, and then we'll hit your bridge.
Mr. Sneed, can you please repeat your question again? Did you say list of bridges that are having?
So in the bar, well, not the bar, the chart that you provided, there are 5 bridges listed that have fair substructure condition. I just wanted to know where those are located because they weren't earlier in the report.
I can provide that information, Mr. Sneed, following after this meeting. But okay. we do have that. It's easy to filter that in our system, and I can, if you are interested in the list of 5 bridges in fair condition, I can provide that to you.
Okay. And then just to follow, the Nice Bridge was just constructed. How is it not excellent? Seems like something. Why would that be excellent?
Nice Bridge?
Yeah, it says
Yes.
very good.
I,
Why is addition since it was
I
just
think that's
construction?
yeah, I think that's a very good question, and that's something I've learned from our either Tekesta or Lillian can also respond to this. But based on what I have learned from inspections, there are it's very rare I think here in our number of bridges excellent, we have two excellent here, excellent. Your question is why is Nice Bridge not excellent? So there, I think in the NBI rating system, 0 to 9, sometimes it's plus and minus 1, and it could be 8 or 9, and I've learned that from our training that plus and minus 1 is still acceptable. But Tekesa is here, maybe could expound that even more.
All right, thank you. Just to say a little bit more about these ratings, they could be, it's a one number representing an entire bridge. So the Nice Bridge, for example, could be a 2-mile bridge, right? So you're trying to represent that entire bridge in one number, which could be a little bit, a big generalization, right? So even if it's new, you see that concrete cracks, even surface cracks. So those are like, not major or not a safety concern, but that gets documented. So it doesn't take a lot of time for a bridge, which is new, to be an 8, which is a very good condition, which by many standards is really, what you hope for. It doesn't usually stay 9 for a long time. So that's one of your questions. Hopefully I added some things to that. The other previous questions about the substructure, the fair, in our report that Roel presented, what we tried to provide to you was the overall bridge conditions. We didn't go into super deck in that report because we're talking about 300 bridges, and in the short time we have here, we just want to give you a glimpse of the overall condition. So that's why you didn't see the substructure listed in that report. But like Roel said, we can definitely give you more input and more insight into how we do these things in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you for the.
Mr. Sneed got it. Mr. Sneed got 4.0 in college. He wants the best.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead with your question. Can somebody follow up on the bridge that we just unfortunately had the dump truck accident with?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out. I was knocked off somehow. Is there any follow-up at this point on the 24th bridge?
Jim, I'm going to guess that's your question, Mr. Harkness.
Yeah, we can certainly address that. So, obviously we had a pretty substantial strike from a dump truck where the bed actually detached from the truck and was wedged between the steel girder and the pavement. We thankfully have some very skilled some recovery companies, and so they were able to get that bed removed without any further damage to the bridge. So our team was, on hand for inspections before removal and after removal, and we have thankfully the 24 above that beam. That fascia beam is a shoulder, so we're able to close off that shoulder to keep traffic from running over that shoulder. And we're currently evaluating, what's the best path forward here. It's complicated in that this structure is part of an upcoming capital project that we'll be bringing before you in less than a year's time, and that project involves replacement of this bridge, right? So kind of the exercise we're going through right now is Brian Wolf, his team is looking through the contract documents that we have developed already for that project, seeing how we intend to maintain traffic across that structure. you know, therefore that'll start to weigh into our path forward as to whether or not we need to do something in the interim so that we can carry out that project in a few years' time.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Any further questions for Ruel or any closing comments for the good of the cause before I entertain a motion to adjourn? So I guess I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn.
So moved. So moved.
So moved. There's a second. Second. All right.
Second.
All right. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was everybody. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of the week and great weekend. And the Orioles and Ravens have big games this weekend. So
That's right.
go Baltimore. All right.